For the next few minutes, we're going to be looking into the many faces of Parkinson's. Parkinson's disease is classified as a movement disorder. Certain cells in the brain have died off prematurely, resulting in faulty transmission along neurological systems. A diagnosis of Parkinson's is not a death sentence. There are many things you can do to take responsibility for controlling the progress of the disease and to maintain a positive attitude and an enjoyable lifestyle. This video introduces a number of people with Parkinson's who have chosen to take control of their lives. They lead enjoyable, productive lives, doing many of the same things they did prior to being diagnosed. Shawn is a 62-year-old woman who has been playing soccer for 26 years. 3 years ago, she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. She continues to play soccer and golf.
Well, I have a friend who's just been diagnosed, and she's very depressed. I'm trying very hard to work with her to make her understand that depression is going to be very normal for the first year, and to try to see a positive side. I know she knows that I'm very active, and I think that helps. I have another friend who was diagnosed at the same time I was, and he is still kayaking, and he's still riding his bicycle. And he and we've been trying to get together with this woman and explain to her and make her feel better about herself and make her understand that there is a quality of life out there that she doesn't have to do without. I think that it's important for the newly diagnosed to include their family. And I did not do that in the beginning, except for my daughter. I had not included my husband. I realize now the importance of my husband being involved with me and not shutting him out. That's a very important thing, not shutting those who love you out. I think that they want to be there. You actually need them there very much. It's definitely something you need to go through together for support. And another thing, it's just so important to stay active and not give in to the depression that naturally will come when you realize what's going to happen to you. When you see movies and videos and stories of what people look like at the end of Parkinson's, it doesn't have to be that way, to be that depressed and that sad. I think you just have to try to stay positive and stay as active as you can.
Kyle is a computer network administrator who was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease several years ago. He is married with 2 teenage children. He no longer works. He believes exercise is very therapeutic.
Definitely exercise for me, and I think probably in general for Parkinson's patients, is super important. And that's why things like playing tennis have been really a lifesaver for me. But in addition to that, I go to a gym and work out a couple to 3 times a week, doing light weightlifting and stretching. I try to do a lot of stretching and some cardiovascular on a stair-step machine.
Kyle addressed the benefits of staying active and of keeping a positive attitude.
Well, in general, with Parkinson's, I find I need to keep myself occupied with positive activities that I enjoy, and keep me having a positive attitude and positive self-image, because the disease can tend to get you down sometimes, and you need to keep a positive attitude. I'm a member of a Parkinson's support group that I got started going to. It was introduced by a gentleman named Lester Cohen, and he was very helpful to me in the early stages of my disease. We talked a lot and shared stories with each other, and he led the support group, and it's grown quite a bit. We've got a lot of new members, and we go once a month, and it's a very helpful group.
Kyle tells us of ways he's gained knowledge on Parkinson's and places to seek help.
In the beginning stages of the disease, obviously, right after diagnosis and during diagnosis, the patient has a lot of questions. And I found the internet to be an invaluable tool for resolving a lot of those questions and getting help. There's a huge amount of information on the internet, including websites for the Parkinson's Disease Association of San Diego and many other resources to help gather information about treatment, doctors, drugs, and anything else almost that you can think of. There's also forums, support forums that you can participate in. There was one I participated in that for quite a while that was very helpful in the beginning.
Kyle discussed balancing information gathering with living life.
I think it is possible to pursue too much information. I think I was guilty of that. I got a little bit into it too deep, and there's a balance between researching the disease and trying to learn more about it and living life. And sometimes you can get too much into the disease and worrying about it, and sometimes if you back away and refocus and get a perspective on your life from and do more activities, it's more positive. It helps you get out of the focus on the disease. I found that at times I would be on the computer researching some aspect of the disease and start worrying too much about what was going to happen in the future, because since it is a progressive illness, a degenerative illness, I would worry about what's going to happen to me 5 years from now, or what's going to happen to me 10 years from now. And in reality, I realized that although everyone you have to think about that, you want to focus on the here and the now, today, because that's when you're living, and you make the best of each day. And in a way, the disease has helped me appreciate my life more, because I don't waste days. I try to make the most of every day.
Sean is Kyle's 17-year-old son.
I got like a little bit of information, but in the beginning I wasn't informed on too much, and then eventually as they learned more, because in the beginning there was so much testing and stuff going on trying to figure out what he actually had, and rather than scare me with all the different diseases and tests and all that kind of stuff that they were doing, kind of waited until the end when everything was kind of for sure, and which I thought it was. Once I found out everything and learned about it more, it was not as bad as kind of wondering about what it actually was. Well, I found it to be nice to actually be informed, so you weren't kind of wondering about stuff. But yeah, I think it was better than hearing about all the other diseases that were possibly that he could have had that was being tested for. One less thing to worry about.
Sean advised Parkinson's patients in dealing with their children.
I'd keep them informed to a certain extent in the beginning, but also let them know that it's not a drastic, really not a drastic change in the way you're going to be living. It's in the beginning it can be stressful on families, but once you work through the initial shock, it actually now turned out to be better for our family. And just let the kids know that everything's going to be all right, and it's not a fatal disease, so they don't have to worry about that.